Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secureteam. So a lot of stuff to get to today. A rather bizarre story that I want to start off with today after reports of hundreds of trees. And we're not just talking your regular trees in your front or back lawn. We are talking these massive, strong, and thick grouping of over 100 of these towering evergreen trees located in a place called Olympic Park. So we're talking Northwest Washington for you guys in the area who might know where this is. And so they're calling it a meteorological mystery that is surrounding the just sudden and overnight knocking down and basic destruction of these massive old growth trees. They're just snapped like twigs, like toothpicks, really. And they have a local meteorologist who they've sent out there to try to figure out what caused this. And so this area here, where these trees fell, which is around 70 miles west of Seattle, it's not as if this entire forest was laid down. And we'll get more to that here in a minute. Many of you have probably heard of something called the Tunguska event, where something similar happened, although it was on a massive scale. We're talking thousands of trees, but we'll get to that in a minute. So it's not like this whole forest was blown down. It was actually a relatively small area, right here as you're seeing on this map from Google Earth. And from the articles that I can see as to what caused this, it almost seems to me like there's something more strange happening here, and they really don't know what caused it. They are putting forth the theory of something called a microburst that may have downed these super strong, tall trees. Now, what is a microburst, you might be asking? Well, microbursts, as defined by the National Weather Service, are a, quote, localized column of sinking air or downdraft located within a thunderstorm that is usually less than or equal to 2.5 miles in diameter. Microbursts can cause extensive damage at the surface and in some instances can be life-threatening. And so basically we're talking about a small but powerful burst of wind. And why that doesn't seem to fit in this story, as was pointed out by one of the people researching it, was that basically the winds from a microburst would not be sufficient enough to topple such a large amount of massive trees like this, particularly since some of the trees fell while others were snapped at the base of the tree. And to quote one of the meteorologists on the scene, he suggested that to snap off such massive trees would take winds of at least 70 to 80 miles per hour, maybe more. And deepening this mystery further, it was also noted that at the time the tree fall occurred, radar indicated that there was no hint of instability and thunderstorms. Which again, if you guys remember, this is when microbursts typically occur. Furthermore, just to give you guys an idea of how massive these trees are and heavy, the fall of these things was actually picked up as seismic activity, which obviously allowed these meteorologists to pinpoint the exact time that it happened. There were no thunderstorms in the area. All of the trees around this area were left standing, but we have this small, it just doesn't make sense. The report further goes on to state that they were exploring the fact that data from the nearby weather stations showed nothing that stood out as the cause of the tree fall. And so the mystery continues, basically, and that's what this report states. They have no idea really what caused this. It's really strange, and as I said earlier, this brought to mind something called the Tunguska event, which as far as these so-called meteorological events go, is probably one of the most mysterious unsolved cases as it relates to a massive amount of trees being downed that still plague scientists and researchers to this day. Now, the Tunguska event was basically this large explosion that occurred near the Stony Tunguska River, which is located in Russia. And it happened on the morning of June 30th, 1908, so this is back in the day. Now, the explosion over this sparsely populated eastern Siberian region flattened some 2,000 square kilometers, or 770 square miles of forest. And again, similar to this case, that explosion was generally by some people attributed to an airburst that came from a meteoroid that they say blasted through the atmosphere, caused this massive gust of wind that knocked down thousands of these sturdy, old-growth Siberian trees, folding them over as if they were toothpicks or blades of grass. And it's actually classified as an impact event, even though no impact crater has ever been found. Which of course they have an explanation for as well, which is that, well, the object was thought to have disintegrated around 3 to 6 miles above the ground rather than to have hit the surface of the Earth. But they don't have any idea what caused this. Now, many believe that this was a crash of a UFO or some sort of blast that came from space, because it certainly wasn't anything on Earth that they could see that caused this thing. And to this day, the Tunguska event is the largest impact event on Earth in recorded history. And since the 1908 event, there have been an estimated 1,000 scholarly papers, research papers, mostly Russian, that were published on the explosion, and where in 2013, a team of researchers published analysis results of microsamples that claim to show fragments that, quote, may be of a meteoritic origin. Or in other words, fragments from space. Now that doesn't mean a meteor, and again, they are just saying it may have been fragments. But again, we have meteors streaming through the atmosphere almost daily, if not daily, and we have tons of meteorite fragments, likely in your own backyard if you dig up enough. So, this event was very similar to what we are seeing here in Washington, only on a much more massive scale. And well, you guys can tell me your theory down below as to what you think happened here in Washington. Do you live near this area? Put it down in the comments or send me an email, and obviously I will follow up on it if there's any new information or if they find out or put forth their explanation as to what happened. So, now in other news, and in strange weather events that continue around the world, and not all of which are weather events, but just strange events in general, yet again, we have houses being shook and reports of a loud boom or bang that just days ago rattled the residents of Westchester, Putnam, which is located just north of New York City. And so according to this report, many residents of Putnam and northern Westchester counties woke up with a loud bang produced by what they're calling a paltry 2.2 magnitude earthquake that hit 3 miles northwest of Mohegan Lake in Yorktown, Putnam Valley. People throughout the area posted on social media about feeling the 2.2 magnitude quake and 2 small aftershocks of both 1.3. And what's so strange about this is that people usually don't feel smaller quakes, such as the 2.2. But apparently, plenty of people were shaken by this one. And according to one person on Facebook who was there, he wrote, quote, "The tremor sounded like very loud thunder. And I heard things in the house rattling, like change on the dresser, and the doors rattling." Another user wrote, quote, "My entire house shook and rattled." So again, this tale of it being an earthquake is once again being put forth by the local news media or meteorologists. But again, and I've already been receiving messages from people about this news story before I even heard about it. And we're talking people who live in some real deal earthquake areas, such as California, even people overseas. One viewer from India stated, and I'll read you what he said in his email here, quote, "Houses are not being shook. The houses and the doors and the windows, etc., they're not being rattled by a measly 2.2 magnitude quake. I have lived in what is called the Ring of Fire for years now and have experienced many quakes here in Jakarta, from small ones to 6.2 magnitude 3 weeks ago that occurred just 50 kilometers outside of Jakarta. You do not feel the small earthquakes, let alone that your house is shaking and rattling. With the recent 6.2 earthquake, my house began to shake a little for a moment, but still no rattling of doors, windows, etc. And I have never experienced or heard loud booms during quakes here. Even with the 6.2, there was no loud boom." Now, again guys, I need to remind you that if you've been following the channel, even just the past week or two, and I told you guys this happens so much now that we have a new report of it in every single video. People witnessing and hearing rumblings, loud booms, things that sound like shock waves or sonic booms. And just to note here, many of these occur nowhere near an earthquake, in many instances no earthquakes, when these phenomena happened. And so over the weeks, seeing as we're getting new reports every single video I post, I've been seeing a lot of you down in the comments posting your theories as to what it could be. Many of you seem to believe that it has something to do with underground as opposed to up in the sky. Possibly some sort of testing underground or construction of something. I don't have the answers, obviously, but something is certainly happening here. It's happening all over the world. I mean, we have this story with the trees being knocked over. They can't figure out what it is. We have the mystery lights and the mystery booms. They can't figure out what it is. Heck, it's even snowing in the Sahara Desert. And if you think I'm joking, check out this video here, which was posted by a resident of a place called Ain Sefra, and I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but basically it's a province in Algeria, located in the middle of the Sahara Desert, where, as you're seeing here, it was found to be snowing. And we're not just talking a few snowflakes, we are talking Wisconsin snow, Minnesota snow, Michigan snow, and this just doesn't happen. You don't see sand dunes being covered in snow. And there's just been so much strange activity happening around the Earth right now that, I mean, I haven't even had time to post my, usual UFO sighting videos, and believe me, I have them. But still, if it's strange activity happening on or off the planet, I'm going to post about it because it is just as fascinating in my opinion. And not only that, but we have scientists here that are stumped as to the cause of most of this mystery phenomena. So with that, I think I've taken up enough of your time today, guys. Let me know what you think down below. Trees being knocked over, more mystery booms, rattles, lights in the sky, snow in the desert, along with strange weather anomalies in other parts of the country, like in California, where they recently witnessed this mystery vortex of clouds right off the San Diego coast, along with a new record that has been set where basically these parts of California, where normally this time of year they're walking around with winter coats on and there's snow everywhere, they're wearing t-shirts after being hit by these unseasonably warm and dry temperatures that have blanketed much of California over this past weekend, completely shattering records across the state. With weather so warm, and we're talking 12 to 18 degrees above average, that the snow was melting, leaving behind puddles of water and slush, to where we had skiers opting to go hiking instead because there was no snow to ski down. So, weird stuff going on, guys. Again, I could go on, but I'll save that for the next video. So tell me what you think down below. Thank you again for stopping by. Be sure to subscribe, follow me on social media, and I'll see you guys back in just a bit.